Yo, yo, yo! It's the Ol Drunken Geek again, and happy motherfucking New Year's, everybody. For today's episode, I want to run through my top 10 picks, my top 10 favorite geeky movies of 2017. It being the new year, I know. I figure I just, bookend the last year. These are going to be geeky movies, so now I'm not going to include your Baby Drivers, your Dunkirks, none of that. Even horror flicks I will not include, so no It, also no Get Out, nothing like that. And there are a couple movies which I have not gotten a chance to watch, 2017 movies, which if I do this video again next year, I will include them. Those two movies are Jumanji and The Shape of Water. I cannot include those because I haven't seen those. They just came out and I haven't had a chance. So, without further ado, let's get rolling with it. Let's start with my number 10 pick, War for Planet of the Apes. I thought this movie was really cool in bookending this new Apes trilogy. I'm personally a big Apes fan. I like the first Planet of the Apes. Did not like Beneath Planet of the Apes. The third one, Escape from Planet of the Apes, I really liked. The fourth one, I believe, was Conquest. I really dug that one with Caesar and like the fucking ape slaves and shit. That was cool. So I'm in the bag for all these old ones and the new ones. And with the new Dawn of Planet of the Apes, that movie was just started a new story so good that I had to follow it through. The next one, Rise for Planet of the Apes, was good too. And this one is no different. Matt Reeves does a good job at just bookending the story, but within the mythology, letting you know that there could be more if they wanted to add more. The characters were, I'm not going to spoil too much. This is not a spoiler review, but the characters got their ending, and, some of them were done injustices, but some of them were done really well. And, just happy to see this franchise end, and hopefully it'll get more sequels. The next movie on my list, number 9 on my list, is Thor Ragnarok. I particularly didn't care 100% for this movie, not as much as other people loved it, but it was still a really fun movie. The visuals are really good. You guys can check out my review on this channel. Like, the comedy to me was a little too heavy-handed, but all said and done, the action was good. At times, the comedy did hit for me, and the visuals were good, and it was all around a fun rump comedy. So it was cool. It was cool to watch, and it took a lot of balls to make a movie like this. So just for that, it even gets cool points in my opinion. So that's my number 9 pick. So my number 8 pick is Justice League. Now you may not disagree and be like, "Whoa, you thought Justice League was better than Thor Ragnarok?" Damn Skippy, I did. Because the characters got some development, and it looks like they're trying to course correct their whole universe. I was happy with some of the action scenes. I was happy how they treated Batman in a lot of this. Some of the things about Batman I didn't like. Again, you can watch my other review on it. Wonder Woman was pretty cool. She did get a little development, and you got more of an introduction to Aquaman, even though it wasn't enough. You got a pretty decent introduction to Cyborg. The Flash, again, his wasn't enough. I wasn't 100% happy with his character either, and I wasn't 100% happy with the way they brought back a certain character, because this is not a spoiler review. I'm not going to say who that is, but if you're watching this video, most likely you know who that is. I didn't think they did a great job with that character, but good enough to make my number 8. So, my number 7 pick is Lego Batman. For all intents and purposes, this was a Batman movie. Even though it was set in the Lego world, so it was funnier, they could really lean into that comedy because it was Lego Batman. They could do a lot of the fantastical things from Batman and from his mythology, and deep cuts from this mythology, and different iterations, you had the 77 Batman jokes, the animated series jokes, movie jokes. It was just really super fun, action-packed movie. But at the end of the day, it was a story about Batman, and that is what I really dug about it. Batman and Robin, Batman's a loner. blah, blah, blah. We all know the story, but it was really, really cool to see it translated in such a way. So, my number 6 pick is going to be Spider-Man Homecoming. Again, you guys can go back and watch my review on this one. I really dug this movie. I like that we got to see Peter in high school, how a Spider-Man, in my opinion, should always be depicted, which is fucked up, adorned with more fucked up, as far as how his life is going. Iron Man was kind of fun in this movie, and he wasn't overdone. He was in it. It was okay. The action scenes were cool. The villain was super cool. The Vulture. And yeah, that's why it's my number 6. My number 5 pick, and I really, really dug this one, even though the movie had a lot of problems, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume Deuce. I really dug it. Narratively, the movie did have some problems. It did lag at moments, and obviously the comedy was super heavy-handed, but the movie still had a lot of heart. And being that Guardians of the Galaxy is built a lot around this light tone and this comedic tone, it was not that hard of a transition for into this newer, even more comedic movie. It did have a lot of heart, and it does give you a lot of development of them as a cohesive team, and their individual storylines also all got touched on really well. I've watched this movie about 3 or 4 times now. No, maybe like 5 or 6. And that's the thing, that this movie is super, super rewatchable. Even more than some of the other ones that I mentioned earlier, and even more than some of the ones I will mention even higher up on my list. So just for all that, man, Guardians of the Galaxy, kudos to you. So my number 4 pick is Logan, the movie. And, obviously, it came out a little earlier, so you might think, like, wait, wasn't that the year before? No, it came out around, like, March or something, so it definitely makes it into this list. This is definitely our goodbye to Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And what a goodbye, man. Rated R movie. Really dark. Really much set up much like a Western. A lot of regret, in Logan's life from, having a fucked up life all these years. And also, not only regret, but you see the physical toll that being a killer takes on him physically and spiritually. Patrick Stewart was super, super awesome. He was... I would like to see him get like an Oscar nod for a supporting character. Supporting actor, I mean. He was just really good. His story... They're both their stories. And X-23's story. They really went deep into what made those characters tick and such, and not only that, but what these characters' life choices have led them to. Because of that, and because we got the final end to Wolverine, that is my number 4. My number 3 pick is my favorite comic book based movie of this list, and it is Wonder Woman. Man, I loved Wonder Woman. Again, I have a review on this channel, so you can check that out. Yeah, man, Wonder Woman to me just hit every beat so fucking seamlessly, so well that it's just like, it is the superhero movie. It is by far the best DC movies of this new connected universe that they have, the DCEU, or they might not be calling that anymore, but so far it is the best movie of that. It had heavy moments. It had very empathetic moments between the characters. It informed you a lot to her mythology and to who she is, and it had comedic moments. It had a little bit of everything, man. And the movie was just such a great full meal. I was satisfied, even though the end becomes a little bit of action porn. I still didn't mind that too much. And yeah, Wonder Woman. Number trays. Now, number 2 is a movie that just came out, but I've already seen it 3 times. Star Wars: The Last Jedi. This movie was fucking super, super dope. Luke got a lot of character progression. You got to see where the world is right now. I mean, it's kind of, right where it left off after Force Awakens. But you get a little bit more into their world and into what future movies will be like. And yeah, it subverted a lot of the tropes of that genre and of those movies. So I'm fucking super happy with how that movie came out. And yeah, that's my number 2. So, moving on to some honorable mentions before I get into my number one pick for Geeky Movie of the Year. I want to mention Colossal. What's good? I'm not 100% sure if that's a geeky movie or not. It had a kaiju, but then again, it doesn't play out necessarily like a geeky movie, so I didn't include it in this list, but I thought that movie was really dope. Power Rangers was another one that barely made the cut, but got knocked out by the Apes movie. I thought that movie was, pretty decent for what it was. I wasn't expecting a whole lot, and it pleasantly surprised me. I thought it was okay. The It movie, I didn't include it because then I would have to include Get Out, and then it's like, what's geeky, what's not geeky. So I just decided not to include horror movies. So I did not include it in the list, but I do want to shout it out because that was just an all-around great flick. And if I was voting for which one was the best flicks, it might have made like a number 7, 6, or 5. So just to show you how much I really did like that movie. Not so honorable mentions. I have Dark Tower. I saw it had the skeletons of a good movie. It had good moments, but it wasn't particularly great. It played like a horror movie, but the suspense didn't build up enough because, the payoff was like action, not horror, so it was weird. Valerian also was kind of cool, but the story was super muddled. The visuals were super great, but it was like, only way I could describe it, it was like the Star Wars prequels without any Star Wars in it. So for those of you who hated the prequels, that's Valerian, and that's without the Star Wars. So, some honorable mentions. Also, I forgot Kong Skull Island. I did not watch, so it's not on my list. So even though it came out super early in the year, I will include it for 2018, at least in an honorable mention, if I watch it and I like it. Moving on to my number one pick. Blade Runner 2049, to me, was the best geeky movie of the year. It's a little heady. It's a little bit more thoughtful. Not as much action as somebody would like, but it was great. The visuals are great. The visuals are beautiful. Every shot from this movie, is like a painting you can have at your house. It's beautiful. The story unfolds beautifully. If you watch the first Blade Runner, it adds so much to that world and that mythology, and gives you very, very pleasing resolutions to some of those stories. If you like drama, if you want everybody to be happy-go-lucky at the end of your movies, maybe not the movie for you. But I was super satisfied with this movie, and that is my first pick. Also, like many of these other movies, I do have a review up for Blade Runner 2049 on the channel. I rewatched my video, and I wasn't 100% happy with how I presented those ideas in that video. When the DVD drops, or the Blu-ray drops, I might do might get the Blu-ray and do an additional video on that. And as pointed out by one of the commenters, AXXVXX, he or she put no love for love, and I completely forgot to mention the character Love in Blade Runner 2049, which is like bad ODG. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a great character. She was all about her duty to her maker, and the action scenes with her. Well, that one action scene with her was like super good. And I might do a little something for Blade Runner 2049 later on because I felt like I didn't do it justice in my review. But with that being said, that is gonna be the end of this video. And if you like, comment, like, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. And man, see you in this new year. Hopefully this new year brings us a lot of great geeky movies we can talk about next year. So, ODG out.